This is Austin Real Estate Investing.
Austin Real Estate Investing.
We'll be discussing real estate investing in Austin, Texas, and bringing you experts from all different sectors of the real estate game. Your host, Jordan Moorhead, is a real estate agent and investor in Austin and is here to help you get started or to build your portfolio and explore new strategies.
Hi, this is Jordan Moorhead, and this is Austin Real Estate Investing. Today we have Nick Shevland on here, and he is a longtime Austin resident. He's going to tell us all about his experience investing in Austin, Texas, and why he thinks it's the best place to be. How you doing, Nick?
Hey, pretty good. Thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to talk about Austin and real estate in general. I know we've been meaning to do this for quite a while now, so I'm glad to finally link up with you.
Yeah, we're both busy. It's hard to connect. I know we'd been trying for quite a few weekends there, and stuff just kept coming up.
Yeah, I know. I was doing a flip for a little while, and then you were doing a flip for a little while, and it was just hard to get together. But hey, here we are.
There we go. So, Nick, just tell us a little bit about who you are and how you're involved with real estate investing in Austin.
Okay, yeah. So like you kind of mentioned at the beginning, I've been in Austin for quite a while, since I was 3 years old. I'm 30 now. I still have my W-2, running a window tint company in Lakeway in West Austin. Been in real estate for about 3 years now. I started out thinking that I was going to wholesale or be an agent, but it was just too, I don't want to do a whole lot of deals. I want to do very, very good deals with big dollar amounts on them. So I decided I needed to get started. So I was going to go do a duplex house hack, which I have right now and is at the moment my only deal at the moment. But wanted to get into apartments. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. So I'm actively looking for my first apartment complex purchase.
Awesome. No, I mean, huge fan of house hacking. That's what I do myself. I think it's just a phenomenal way to get started with very low down payment, and it can really just rocket you forward in the real estate investing world. Yeah,
it still surprises me to this day how easy and how cheap it was to get into my first duplex house hack.
Yeah, no, I know I've talked about this before on this podcast actually, but I had $6,000 when I got started. I had to borrow a little money from my IRA, and then as soon as I closed on the place, I had to borrow money from my father to do paint and carpet, just minor stuff. So I didn't have any money.
Yeah.
That first house hack made me 130 grand. So the results are not typical, but it can be a super powerful strategy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, mine was kind of the same story. I saved up for a year and paid off about $7,000 in credit card debt in that first year. Was able to save up about $18,000. I mean, I was living on ramen and frozen veggies and got a roommate and just downgraded all of my expenses significantly. Just pinched a penny anywhere I could. But yeah, got my duplex, had a little bit of money left over because the closing costs were at the insane amount of $5,400. And so the money I had left over, I was just able to preload a checking and savings account for the house, which I collect rent and pay rent from, and maintenance and all that sort of thing. So yeah, I mean, house hacking is by far my favorite way to get into the business for sure.
Yeah, and I think it's a phenomenal strategy for people in Austin. Austin, you've been here, like you said, since '93. The cost of living has gone up a little bit since '93.
A little bit, yeah.
So, for a lot of people moving here that might be making, $50,000 to $70,000 a year, it's a little expensive to live in Austin anymore. And if you can cut that housing expense in half, that's a big deal.
Absolutely.
So, Nick, you said you've been here since 1993. Where were you born?
I was born in Arlington, Texas. So kind of the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Moved here when I was 3, and I've loved it ever since. It's a hard city to move away from.
Yeah, so you've obviously people other places. Saying that Austin has gotten a little more expensive. and you just mentioned, hey, it's a hard city to move away from. But why have you continued to live and work in Austin if you could go somewhere else that may be cheaper? That's a question I get all the time is, hey, should I move to another market where real estate investing is cheaper? And I think there's a whole thing to unpack there. But
yeah, so yeah, it's definitely gotten more expensive, and it's continuing to get more expensive. Taxes are through the roof. But at the same time, the quality of life here is also getting better in a lot of ways. I mean, you always hear, yeah, it's expensive. The traffic's bad. Yeah, those are definitely true. But I mean, we've got events going on all the time. We've got 2 lakes. We've got rolling hills and big trees, a ton of restaurants, the music scene. It's just, if you want to find something to do, there's dozens of things to do every single day. Even during COVID right now, I mean, I'm sure I could go find plenty to do. So, I mean, the quality of life here is really, really good. It's a little toasty during the summertime, yeah, but we don't really have much of a winter. Anytime I go out of state for the wintertime, I have no idea what I'm doing. Snow, ice, don't have to worry about that here. So I think the coldest it gets here is about 30 degrees for maybe 4 days a year. So yeah, Austin is it's a hard city to move away from.
yeah, and even within Texas, you drive up to Dallas in January. I made the mistake one year of driving up there with shorts and a t-shirt on. Yeah. And I got out of the car and I said, man, it's way colder up here. So
it really is. It's weird. Like my dad and my brothers live in the Dallas area, and yeah, during the wintertime, they'll actually get some snow, and I'll be down here and it's like 40 degrees and bright and sunny. I actually kind of had that experience this past week. I was on a road trip just up through the Rockies, and it's 105 here in August, and I was thinking, just to be safe, I'll take a pair of jeans and a long sleeve shirt. And the first morning I wake up in Colorado, it's 46 degrees. I'm like, oh my God.
Oh wow.
So brought this. Yeah, it's middle of summer. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And you mentioned the rolling hills and all the activities there are in Austin. Personally, I love to hike, and I can find a new hiking trail every weekend for long periods of time and always have something new and fun to do.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, the hiking scene is very big, as well as the mountain biking scene here also.
Yeah. So Nick, what attracted you to real estate investing personally?
So it started about 3 years ago. It's not a very entertaining story, but I literally just woke up one morning and decided I wanted to be smarter than my money. I wanted to wake up each morning and be more wealthy than I was the day before. So naturally, that meant investing. I had no idea what investing really meant. I had to Google it. So started to learn a little bit about real estate, investing, finance. Had to dig myself out of some credit card debt from, just blowing money in my early 20s, that sort of thing. I was tired of paying other people's rent. Like you said, Austin is expensive. I mean, your average 1-bedroom apartment in Austin is about $1,000, give or take a little bit. And I was just tired of giving that money away. So I knew that I needed to invest in my own place. And it would be even better if I had a tenant help pay me. So that's why I got the duplex. But the thing I like the most about real estate is you can scale it. It's very scalable. I mean, it is a business. You can put systems in place and build a team of, agents or bankers, virtual assistants, and they can help you get to your goals a lot quicker. It just, I think it beats the hell out of having a W-2, So you don't get your time back. So choose it wisely.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I think that's you made a big point. Just time is what really, I see everybody talks about all these different things, but what they're really talking about is, hey, I want control over my time, and what I do with my time and who I spend my time with. And, that seems to be the most important thing to most people you talk to. They're interested in some sort of financial freedom. I know for me, it's time and location. Yeah. I want control over my time, which I pretty much have at this point in my life. And I want control over where I spend my time, whether it be, I have family all over the country. family in Dallas and San Antonio, Kentucky, Washington, Mexico, everywhere. So I like to have control over where I spend my time. And it all relates back to time, is what I found for everyone.
Yes, time is the most important thing, I think, in the world. But it's funny, a lot of the people that I ask, like, what is rich to you? Not a single person has ever even mentioned money at all. It's just, having the time freedom, but hey, I want to go do a little bit of traveling, even if it's a road trip, or I want to go hiking, mountain biking, I want to go learn how to wakeboard. It's just it's not the dollar amount, it's having the time and the freedom to be able to go live that rich life.
Yeah. You did a little road trip recently, didn't you?
I did. It was a big road trip in a little car. I've got a thing with taking massive road trips in vehicles that are not suited for the trip. So yeah, last week me and a buddy, we jumped in a smart car. We drove from Austin up through Colorado into Utah. Got to go check out the salt flats. Topped out a smart car at 93 miles an hour on that. That was exhilarating. Got into Nevada, Iowa. We went to Yellowstone. That was really cool. Up in Wyoming and Montana, and then basically just came all the way back down. So it was 4,000 miles in 6 days in a smart car with two guys. I'm 6'4", my buddy's 6'2". We had a couple backpacks. It was a very, very tight fit, but we made it happen, and it was as of today still the best trip I've ever had in my life. And I got back and had to see how much money I spent. We made probably 30 fuel stops, and they were all like $5-6 a pop, because these smart cars only have like an 8-gallon tank, and we would fill up every half tank or so just to make sure we didn't get stranded. But it was like, that was an amazing trip, and I only spent about $750 on that. And we stayed at motels every single night. We're obviously eating on the road, really just driving 10, 12, 14 hours a day, but it was a blast. So, and
14 hours a day in a smart car.
Yeah, with no AC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was an experience, but that's just a tiny little trip compared to what I'm doing next year. Unfortunately, got pushed out to next year due to COVID, but this year, right now, actually, I should have been on a trip called the Mongol Rally, where me and the same friend, we drive a 1-liter vehicle from London down through Southeast Europe, through the Middle East, into Russia. We end in Mongolia, and then drive all the way back. And the route that I have planned is about 17,000 miles and should take us roughly 3 months.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah, the trip from last week was nothing compared to that one coming up. I mean, we only speak English, no other languages. We're driving a 1-liter vehicle in countries we've literally never even heard of before. So that will be a true experience of a lifetime for sure.
Yeah, and that's one thing I love about being able to house hack. So you don't have to pay your entire mortgage while you're gone on that situation.
Exactly, yeah. So I've got a wonderful tenant next door, honestly paying above market rent, and she's probably like the best tenant ever. But yeah, if I'm still living in this duplex when I'm on that trip, basically I can either rent this place out or sign another year lease, a 3-month lease, or I could even Airbnb. I mean, it's just, the options are limitless. But yeah, the fact that I have a tenant paying, over half of the mortgage, that helps out a huge amount. So, yeah.
Absolutely. And, you mentioned that, if you want, you can rent out your place the entire time you're gone and really have no expense related to the house. And most people can't do that. You have to pay your mortgage, or you have to pay your rent, no matter what. If you're in the house, I did a lot of that in my first house hack. I would go places and I would rent out my room on Airbnb while I wasn't there. And now I had a roommate, and luckily he was okay with it, but there was always somebody in there, whether it be me or somebody else. And that really allows you to do what you want with your time, as long as your job will allow you,
Yeah. So it's cool that you said that. So if I'm on my trip and I rent out this side, I will actually be making $377 a month for not being here. So yeah, how many people can just go on a vacation and be able to make money from their house. Not a whole lot.
Yeah, it's awesome, man. You absolutely, bottom line is you absolutely cannot do that when you're renting. Good luck finding somebody that's going to allow you to short-term rent your rental.
Yeah.
But then, even if you've got a mortgage on a single family house, most people won't do it. So I think if you can get in the mindset to house hack, you really open up so many limitless possibilities for you.
Yeah. And I mean, this isn't my forever home, I fully plan on moving to a different place every single year. And I'm completely fine with that. I mean, that's just a small price to pay for building wealth over the next, few decades or so.
Absolutely.
This is easy. I mean, it's my place. I can move on whenever I want, really.
Yeah. And I just did that myself. So I have a house hack in East Austin, moving into another house hack in East Austin. I stayed in the first one and met the requirements. So moving on to the next, and actually I'm selling the first one. So you can do whatever you want with it, but you can continue to move up year after year for at least a short while.
Yeah.
And why not take advantage of that?
Yeah. So you said you lived out the requirements. So was that a FHA where you have to live in the property for 12 months?
Yeah, and I'm no lender, but it's to best of my understanding that you need to live in any owner-occupied loan property for 12 months from the day that you move in.
Correct.
So that could be conventional loan, could be VA, USDA, FHA, anything below 25%, 20 or 25% down. Just your intent is to buy as owner-occupied property. And once you jump to that investor property, the down payments are much higher. So they're okay if you never lived there, if you pay 25% down.
Exactly. Yeah. But like you said, if you pay, under that 20, 25% down, for the most part, you need to live there for a year. But I think that's good. That gives you time to fix a place up, kind of get a game plan for your next purchases. So excellent.
Yeah. And even if you have it fixed up before you move in, you were going to find stuff that's wrong when you live in it for a while. So we're moving into this 3-bedroom duplex. Our unit's going to be a 3-bed, 1-bath with a yard. So a nice living situation. Everything was remodeled. The siding, windows, kitchens and bathrooms, literally everything was touched. HVAC systems. But I know we're going to find issues after living there for a few months.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, every place, even if it was a rental, every place I've ever moved, I find myself that first week making a Home Depot run. So, you'll find something. Don't worry about that.
Yeah, and that's fine. That's just part of the game. So have you had any bad experiences in real estate investing at this point? Has it been, as far as even just getting the first deal done? I know getting to closing can be a big deal a lot of times.
Yeah, so I don't really believe in bad deals. I feel like every single deal you're gonna learn from. So I think that makes it right there. I mean, obviously you don't want to go lose a whole lot of money, but as long as you learned from that deal, I wouldn't necessarily consider it a fail or a bad deal. Like I said, I only have the one property at the moment. I kind of pump the brakes on buying properties at the moment because I made a deal to myself that my next property has to be an apartment complex. So like I said, I haven't had any bad deals. I've done a lot of little things throughout real estate though. I'd say the one thing I had no ROI on was direct mail marketing. Probably about 2 years ago, I decided I was going to do some direct mail marketing campaigns to find my first property. Basically, I made a list of, I think it was 211 properties. I was finding these just driving around. I was looking for, looking down the street, seeing, are there 2 mailboxes? Are there a ton of cars parked out front? That might be a duplex. I've always been interested in duplexes more so than single family. Or, just driving and seeing FSBO signs, the for sale by owners or just for sale in general. I'd get on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, look at people's rental ads, grab addresses or emails, phone calls, hey, I'm not looking to rent, but I'm interested in buying. Would you consider selling? So I put a mailing list of 211 properties together. I had no idea how much work that would be doing direct mail marketing when you're doing it yourself. It was ridiculous. I typed up a letter, put it in like a handwriting font, which is still never all that great. I had a cool logo in there. It was actually really, really well put together. And then I decided that, these are going to be letters, not postcards. I think I spent 12 hours just folding up these letters and stuffing them in envelopes. And then I had some keychains from a good friend of mine, Matt Tyke, Matt, and his property management company. And we kind of worked out a deal. Like if I send him any properties to get under management, he would cut me in on this. So it was kind of like a 2-in-1 mailer, if you will. And then I was handwriting all of the addresses. And at the time I had a roommate and she had owed me just a little bit of money. And I decided like, hey, help me handwrite all of these addresses on a couple hundred envelopes and we'll call it even. So we did that for weeks and mailed all those out. It was, it was hundreds of dollars in stamps even, which I still have a ton of stamps left over. So I should probably do it again. But yeah, sent those out, didn't get anything back, not a single phone call, email, anything at all. But it's kind of my fault because when you're doing direct mail marketing, you need to be hitting these properties multiple times. Don't just send out one letter because, most of the time that's just going straight in the trash. And that's what happened to all these, But, 2 months, 3 months later, send out another round of letters and just stay on top of it. That way, when these people decide that they want to sell or they're distressed and they need cash, someone to buy it quick, you'll be the first person that comes to their mind, like, hey, I got to get out of this place. Oh, yeah, I just got a letter in the mail from an investor saying he wants to buy my property. So that would be my worst deal, but it's because I didn't do it properly. And I ended up finding my duplex actually on the MLS for surprisingly a deal. So I didn't necessarily need those letters in general, but I did learn a lot from them. So I wouldn't call it a fail by any means.
Yeah, absolutely. Personally, I purchased all my properties off the MLS. The only direct mail, it was just a letter. Success that I've had actually was a property I sold to my dad. I sent this guy a letter. He called me a couple weeks later. But, like you said, normally for that to be successful, you need to do it over and over and over and over. And it's something like a 1% response rate, even if you do it monthly for a long period of time to a lot of properties. I probably send out 150 to 200 a month.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gotten a call in a year because, frankly, right now, why would you sell your property to somebody off market? Everybody's got Zillow and everybody's got just ways to figure out roughly what their property's worth, and they can call a realtor or, even just list it on for themselves on Zillow or whatever and sell it for pretty decent price. So there's no free lunch. Like you said, I think I found most of my properties off the MLS. As realtors, we go hunt down stuff that's privately listed, and we tell these people, hey, I can take your property and I can get you more money than you're going to make as a for sale by owner. And I'm also going to make it so much easier on you. Just shoot fish in a barrel. Don't go out trying to find that unique one-off deal. There's always ways to make it easy on yourself. And whether you're a seller or a buyer, consult somebody that's going to help you with that rather than trying to do it on your own. Not dogging direct mail. Direct mail can absolutely work. You just need to do a lot of it consistently for a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. 100, 200, at a time, that doesn't really work these days. You hear 5 years ago, maybe, but more so these days, you hear about people sending out, $2,500 a month, and that gets very expensive very quickly. So.
Yeah, you're looking at $2,000 a month or so to do that. It's anywhere from, what's a stamp, 48 cents now or something?
Something like that. Yeah. So, it adds up in stamps alone. Yeah.
Yeah. Stamps in your time. It can work, but if you're going to do it consistently, do it to a fairly large area and just make sure you hit them over and over and over. What's one thing you think newer investors should know, or people that they want to get into house hacking. So, you've had good experience house hacking. If a lot of the people listening to this and a lot of people that I talk to want to get into house hacking, what would you tell them?
Yeah. So, get your finances in order. Know what a deal actually is. A lot of people have no idea what a deal is. They just contact an agent and say, send me a good deal, without any context.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, what does that mean? So you need to define what a deal is to you. You need to know your market, your numbers, and start thinking 5 years down the road. So don't worry about making money on your first deal, because chances are you're not, unless you hold it for that 30 years, which even then, not going to be making a ton of money. So don't focus on the money on your first deal. Focus on putting together systems, and focus on systems that you think that you'd be using 5 years from now. So, don't use like scratch paper to write all your notes on. Start getting some CRMs in order. Start piecing together your team, your network, a business plan even. So don't think rich right now. Think rich 10 years from now, and put proper systems in place to get you there.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's great advice. And yeah, when talking to a real estate agent, absolutely, if you come in and say, hey, I just want a good deal, I always tell people, hey, a good deal to me might not be a good deal to you, and vice versa. So
absolutely.
What do you want? What kind of property in what area? What kind of rehab work are you willing to take on? How many beds, how many bathrooms, just general price ranges. You need to know what a good deal looks like yourself. And everybody asks, what do I do first? Just start analyzing deals. Look at what could work, what might work, and what absolutely doesn't work. Most are not going to work, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the agent is not the first person you need to contact. Honestly, that's your lender. You need to see what you're good for. Like everyone wants to go out and get that $400,000 house with 4 bedrooms and 3 baths and the pool. You might only be worth $250,000. So don't waste your agent's time looking for stuff like that when you can't pull it off. Plus, you need to figure out what a good deal looks like. A piece of advice that I went on, which is something that Brandon Turner from Bigger Pockets said, was, before you know what a good deal is, you probably need to underwrite or analyze 100 of those first. So what I did is I'd get on Zillow or Realtor.com, and I'd find these properties just to get, the numbers on them. And then I would start to do the calculations to see, okay, what is this actually going to look like on paper? What's the NOI on it? What am I actually going to make on this? And what's it going to be worth, 30 years from now when it's actually paid for? What are taxes like? All that. So yeah, I did hundreds of those before I bought my first deal. And that really helps you understand the area that you're in and what area you might want to buy in and what areas are just absolute junk. So like even to this day, I know North Austin and West Austin really, really well, as well as Round Rock. So, I mean, for the most part, you can tell me a street or a zip code, some just absolute basics about what the house is. And I kind of know ballpark what that house is going to be worth without ever seeing a single picture, without going there, without seeing a Zillow ad. So it really helps you to understand, what a property is worth, what the rents are even. So yeah, absolutely. Know your numbers.
Yeah. And I really liked your advice there of, hey, talk to a lender first, because I talked to a lender years before I ever bought my first property, because they said, hey, your credit is terrible. Here's what you can do to make it better. And here's what you're going to be able to qualify for if you do that. But right now you're only qualified for this. So talk to a lender way before you're even thinking you're ready to go out there, because there may be a laundry list of things you need to do to be in the best position to go buy. And when you're house hacking, that can mean the difference between buying a decent duplex in a decent area and making great returns to really having to buy something 45 minutes, maybe an hour outside of town that needs just a tremendous amount of work and isn't the place you want to be. The rents are super low. So talk to your lender first.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, Nick, it sounds like you do a lot of continuing education and try to learn all the time. What's your best mindset advice for people that are trying to get started in real estate investing?
Well, mindset advice overall, I would say build equity in your life, happiness. I definitely like to go by the mindset of give to others, and just by default, your life is going to improve, from that. Mindset advice for real estate, think long term. I can't stress that enough. People, they want the Ferraris and Lamborghinis and mansions and stuff, a couple of years down the road. That's probably not going to happen. Think 20, 30 years out and, work that in reverse. That's my best advice, just think long term.
Awesome. And what's your favorite business or mindset book? So I love the long-term thinking, but where do you learn stuff like that?
Okay, I've got a really good book for this. Shoe Dog by Phil Knight, the story of Nike and how that came together. It's a very, very long book. It's very entertaining. It's a very good read. I hate reading. I'm an Audible guy all the way, but that book had my attention throughout the entire thing. It just basically shows you not only how he came up from a young age and developed Nike and later, sold it, but it shows you that a company as big as Nike, even in the 90s, had no money. He had no equity in his company. He was literally writing checks before he had the money for him. I mean, he would have to put out an order of thousands of shoes and basing it off of the sales of those shoes. So it was just, have equity in your company, invest in your team, in your staff, stay liquid, have lines of credit, and just be an active and leading member in your field. So whenever people, like for instance, in real estate, whenever people want to buy a house, you need to be the first person they think about. So like, okay, you know what? It's probably about time we need a house. Oh yeah, Jordan sells houses. I'm going to give him a call. That's who you need to be.
Yeah, that's awesome advice. I love Audible too, so I will read a book, and sometimes I will perceive it differently if I also listen to it. So many times, if I really like a book, I'll download the Audible, and then I'll listen to it later in the morning. So
yeah, I love Audible. I really like the ones where it's actually the author that narrates them too. Those are always more entertaining, and a lot of the narrators on Audible are just so boring and bland, but when it's the author, they actually put a little bit more pizzazz in it, if you will. So yeah, I love Audible. I listen to in my line of work, I can just basically zone out for nearly the entire day. So I listen to I'd say on average 6 to 9 hours worth of content every single day. So yeah, I'm on podcast and Audible nonstop. So yeah, I definitely get my money's worth out of those subscriptions for sure.
Yeah, no, I agree. The narrator that does, especially a lot of the older books, a lot of the older finance books, not super exciting to listen to always.
Yeah, I like those old school finance books. I mean, they're tried and true.
Yeah, me too.
There's a ton of them out there.
Yeah, Think and Grow Rich. Any Napoleon Hill book, any Dale Carnegie book, it's all great stuff.
Oh yeah, that's good stuff right there.
So Nick, how can people get a hold of you if they want to reach out to you and ask questions?
Super easy to get a hold of. You can send me an email, nickshevland@gmail.com. You can hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Bigger Pockets. Just Google my name, you'll find me.
All right. And last question, probably my favorite question here is, what's your favorite restaurant in Austin?
That's the hardest question. Are you kidding me? Just pick one. Man, there's so many. All right, I'm going to give you 5 because I'm an overachiever like that. So I really like Azul Tequila, Mexican food restaurant. It's like Mopac in 2222 area, kind of tucked away. Super, super good food. Zuzu's Cafe, another Mexican food restaurant right down the street from there. I really like Top Notch Hamburgers in North Austin on Burnett. Dan's Hamburgers is really, really good on North Lamar. And I've always been a sucker for it's not an Austin company, but the Cheesecake Factory. I mean, if you've ever gone there and opened that menu, it's like 20 pages long. But that place is so good. So yeah, I mean, I can't pick just one favorite restaurant in Austin. There's so many to pick from, and those are all just like North Side restaurants. So I could give you a list of probably 25 of them.
Yeah, well, there's so many great restaurants. I ate at Zuzu's recently, and it's pretty good stuff. So yeah, we'll put all that in the show notes too. Hey Nick, thank you so much for coming on today. I know we're constantly talking on Instagram and other forms of social media like that, and I'm sure we'll see each other here soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me on. I had a blast, and looking forward to listening to this when it comes out.
Absolutely. Thanks, man. Hope you have a great day.
Thanks. Take it easy.